All right, let's give this another try. Now that the sound is back on. Jesus Christ. Uh, as much as I love talking shit about OSRS and Classic WoW, I also hate repeating myself. Anyways, so this video, MMOs have changed. Now, luckily, I only watched up to like a minute and a half, so you didn't miss much of the video. But like, you missed like 15 minutes of me talking shit about stuff I'm not sure what the video is about. Anyways, MMO have changed and why that's bad. Now, I read some of the comments, and because people were not hostile towards the creator when regarding OSRS, I'm going to assume it is about OSRS, and because of this, I assumed already before, it's about Classic WoW. The thing is, both of these games suck in terms of being an MMORPG. They do. They are not really like Classic WoW is probably the closest thing to an MMORPG, but there is a reason this is really popular to make multiple Iron Man fucking modes in OSRS. It's a fucking glorified ARPG. Honestly, OSRS is Diablo 4. You know? Like what makes OSRS an MMORPG? Oh, I'm sharing the world with other people. Fucking retards, bro. Right? You share the world with other people in Diablo 4 too. Does that make Diablo 4 an MMORPG? No, it's not a fucking MMORPG, okay? Like, oh, it has raids. It's like, yeah, raids that you can do solo. Right? Like, everything in the game is actually designed for solo. OSRS is probably like the worst offender for what people consider an MMORPG because it is the most solo MMORPG that exists. But people complained that like stuff like retail is so fucking oh, retail, you just play it solo. Bro, fucking Classic, you play solo. Okay? And the best thing about Classic, oh man, this is like two of the best things. One is like my favorite new thing to say. Classic players will say that it's like there's a sense of adventure in Classic World of Warcraft, but in reality, they are the least adventurous fucking players you would ever meet. They are afraid of trying new games and like, you know, exploring the gaming scene, right? They've been stuck playing the same game for 20 fucking years. Oh, there's a sense of adventure, said the person who's like doesn't adventure anywhere. Okay, the least adventurous fucking players on the market. Sense of adventure, my ass. And then there's like the whole thing. It's like, well, and I got this comment actually today. This one, it's so funny. You work hard. Everything is slower, allowing you to really take the world in. What is the first thing Classic WoW players do? First of all, they tell you how good it is that the game is slow. It's so good that the game is slow and it's like, you know, more meaningful combat, which by the way, no, it's not like fucking auto attack the whole time, but you have to like pull one mob at a time and the world is dangerous. What is the first thing people do? They group up so they don't have to deal with the dangers of the world. Like that is the first thing Classic WoW players do. They group up. It's like it creates a social environment. No, you're just solving a problem by socializing with others, which is a cool aspect, but you don't need to do that, right? It's just a very slow game, and people don't like it being slow, so they group with other people to avoid the slowness of the game. Okay, might as like, and it's like what happens in the times when, sorry, oh my god, the itch. What happens in the time when there are no players online, right? Like basically over like a month to 2 months into a release of a Classic server. Okay, what happens when everybody's 60 and nobody's already leveling? What do you do then? Oh, you just play slow. Great, good job. Fucking, oh my god. It's actually like fucking maddening how stupid Classic people are.
Doesn't it seem like everyone hates MMOs? Even the most popular MMO feels like it hates itself, constantly trying to rewrite what it means to even be an MMO, finding novel ways to reduce player-to-player impact. marketing itself to people that fundamentally dislike the nature of the genre, its grinds, its longevity, and long-term commitments. It's all so strange. It's a genre now reliant on people paying money to skip the parts that were the most foundational to them developing their love of it, retroactively disallowing anyone else to form the same bonds they had all those years ago. I love games, I love MMOs, yet I kind of hate them too. I hate whatever this is, and while I don't hate Final Fantasy XIV or Guild Wars 2, I certainly...
Again, Final Fantasy XIV is very not... like, there's like legit no real MMO. Like, realistically, Guild Wars 2 is the closest thing in my opinion, but even that is not really an MMO, right? Like, the meta trains are really like the MMO thing. Not meta trains, like meta events are the MMO thing, sure. But like, there's no real sense of an MMORPG in any of these games. And honestly, I just think that it's because we just don't have the technology. How do you make a game that is constantly changing? Because that's what you want from MMO, right? You want a constantly changing, a living world, right? But also, you don't want it to change much from when you logged off to when you logged in. What if you take, and like, for example, let's take this, why like Ashes of Creation, aside from being a scam, why it would never have worked, okay? Node system just would not work. The node system is meant for people who play all the time, every day, right? As much as possible. They're every day online. They are constantly playing this game. They're always in this world, okay? What happens if you take 2 months off? You log out in one node, you log back in, it is a completely different fucking world, and you have to relearn everything that is located in that area. This would not work, okay? No player wants to log out and log back in and be like, what the fuck happened here? No player wants to log out, right? Even like, forget 2 months. The same night, right? You log out in a node. When you were asleep, there was a raid and they destroyed your node, and you come back and you're like, what the fuck happened? Right? Like, you can't, like, we don't have the technology to make it happen, right? It's like, what you would need for this, which is again super unrealistic, but like ideally, somehow while you're offline, the AI takes over your character based on your behaviors and does the things you would do, but not farm for you. So it wouldn't be like an AFK farming for you, but it would live in the area. Like, say you logged off in the node, it would live in that node until you come back. So it would defend the node and all that stuff, right? This is not, like, we don't have the tech for this. Maybe we will, but right now we do not have the technology for this. Okay, now in terms of like the world, right? You would want to have random attacks on like a main city, right? That's like everybody has to gather and defend the city. Let's say Divinity Czar suddenly gets attacked, like fucking, you know, from whatever this like Lake Doric. Suddenly there's like catapults and shit is attacking, and like you actually see the damage. Let's say, assume that this is not an instance and this is not an instance. Let's say this is one world, right? And like you, like the wall is damaged, and then you have to go and repair it, and then you have to also unleash a force to deal with it and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, when do you make this happen? What happens if you fail? What happens if you succeed, right? How long does it take for this to happen? You can't make it at random. You need people to be there, right? And like, you can't have real consequences for the loss, because people use the city, right? And this is the same thing that happens with stuff like World v World, right? You go into a World v World. I'm going to go into, I'm going to go to Edge of the Mist just to make my point. Right, this is the same thing that happens with World v World, right? You go into Edge of the Mists, right? You have the territories like taken over. Let's say red is active, blue is inactive, and green has like some roamers, right? Red takes over all of the maps. They log out because there's nothing else to do. There's no one to fight. Everything is red. So you're like, okay, well, I guess we're done for tonight, right? You log out. 30 minutes after you log out, blue logs in, takes over all of the fucking bases, and then they log out, and then green comes and like, and they take over all of the bases. Now imagine that in a PvE setting. You just like it will never happen. Okay, you cannot do it because like it contradicts the essence of PvE where nothing actually changes, right? When you log out, right? Because like you want to come back to where you left off, right? That's PvE for you, right? So you have to make stuff like, right? You have to make stuff like this, like like you have event timers when shit happens, and there's no real risk for a loss, right? Like the only loss is that you wasted your time, but it's not like when if I fail Dragon's End meta, it's not like the world is over. This will never happen, right? So it's like it's not the problem that MMOs don't have a place where they can go. We just don't have the technology nor the understanding of how to make it happen. That's the problem. Because every MMO up to now, the main benefit or the main coolness of the MMO world was the socialization aspect. That when I lived in Israel and I met some guy from fucking Texas, or I met some guy, I played on the European server, so it's like most likely I met somebody from Europe, right? And you talk to them, it's like, hey, yo, it's cool. Oh my god, you're from this place? Yo, that's so cool, right? This is not cool anymore. This is like, okay, let me just go to X real quick, right? Let's click on a random guy. Alright, where are you from? Well, Brittany, Texas. So I'm assuming she's from Texas. Okay, so yeah, she's from Texas. Alright, cool. I can talk to a person from Texas if I really wanted to. Right? But the novelty of the social online thing is like it's over, right? Like it's not interesting anymore. Right? So it's like, how do you force people to be social in a game? Right, but also make the game accessible that it's not so hard that you have to socialize. In my opinion, the coolest thing that I've ever seen in an MMORPG that encourages you to group with people was Silk Road. Silk Road Online, which I don't even know if it's alive. Silk Road, I'm surprised it's 3.7 out of 5, not bad. Yeah, I think it died, right? Pay to play and pay to win game, no professor. Okay, so the cool thing that happened with Silk Road, what they had, and again, yeah, it's a very old game, but when you group with other people, let's see if he ever groups with anyone. Probably not. But the coolest thing, yeah, okay, so when you group with other people, sometimes you would have a mob that appears, so like you get the spawn increases in your location, and there is a party mob that spawns, which is like a lot stronger and gives a lot more XP. So it becomes a lot more interesting. So it's like when you group up in Classic, it is to make the game easier. I want to group up to make the game more interesting, right? Like if there's a group of players, I want there to be more monsters now, right? To combat the fact that there's more players, right? I still want to have the sense of danger that Classic is, which by the way doesn't really give, right? But because there's like a group of us, the enemy now is by default stronger. But how do you do this in an open world environment and not in an instance? In an instance, you can control it. In an open world, you can't control, because that means that the game needs to know if there's a group of players that are playing together and they're actually playing together, or there's just a group that is just doing their own thing and sometimes they're nearby, right? You can't, like, I don't think we have the tech for it. Okay. So yeah, like that's the problem with MMOs. I don't think we have the tech to actually accommodate what an MMORPG is supposed to be.
Certainly don't like them either. Honestly, I barely even see them as MMOs, maybe as communal collectathons, no more an MMO
they're not
than
much
these
of an MMO.
open lobbies that some games have today. You exist together, you might even do something together sometimes, but you're not integrating with one another, influencing one another. What all these people do has virtually no effect on what you experience outside of an instance. Maybe that's for the better. After all, if there's ever been a more frustratingly overused argument for the existence of cosmetics in MMOs, it's the casually regurgitated aphorism, well, it's not like it affects you, so who cares? I'd have to be an asshole to sit here and raise my hand and say, I care. I do. But I do, and maybe I am. I know this is an unconventional way to start another theory-wise video essay, where I eventually find an excuse to talk about how much better old school RuneScape is than every other MMO.
It's not. It's actually worse. If you just think about MMORPG, RuneScape is the worst fucking MMORPG on the market. It's not even. It shouldn't even be called an MMORPG. Straight up.
On the market, but hear me out. Collectively, we barely understand what MMOs even are. MMOs are porn. We know them when we see them, except when we don't. Because when I see...
Actually, no, we don't, because some people consider Warframe as an MMORPG, and Warframe is definitely not an MMORPG, okay? Like, it's not a thing.
Destiny 2, I don't think MMO, I think Call of Duty World War II loot box hub area. Maybe that's my bad. So to ground what I'm going to try and talk about during this video, what are MMOs? Most reasonably, they are persistent and persistently evolving overworlds that are inhabited by hundreds if not thousands of people simultaneously. They are defined by their continued existence after you log off. Here's where I want to posit an even more esoteric definition. MMOs are defined by impact, not your own, but rather everyone else's. I don't mean that in the Minecraft sense where the world can be terraformed. I mean something grander, impact that affects you, your perception, and your motivations. How the people around you, whether you talk to them or not, fundamentally change your understanding of the game you're playing. How
I don't see how this applies to OSRS at all, to be honest.
they motivate you to continue playing. That's what makes MMOs conceptually multiplayer. In a literal sense, you inhabit a world with other people, but when something is conceptually multiplayer, there needs to be a spoken or unspoken cohabitation and collaboration. I say unspoken because I don't think an MMO needs to have a focus on group activities, just collective collaboration. And that can be broad as hell too. We're talking open player economies where one person can buy out all the raw chicken and structurally upset that market for a couple months. I'm talking
What's her name? Zavalkir. Okay, so if I have enough plat, which honestly I might have enough plat, I can buy off, like I can just like snipe and buy off all of the Valkyr Prime blueprints and upset the market. Does that make Warframe an MMORPG now because I can upset the market? When Diablo 3 had the auction house, I could, you know, if I was what do you call it? An Arabian prince, okay, a Saudi fucking prince, right? And I bought all of the items on the auction house. Does that make Diablo 3 now an MMORPG?
talking how one person can swagger into a zone wearing the best in slot gear, armor, weapons, whatever, and cause every other person within that zone
Not gonna lie,
the best in slot
game looks completely like shit, but that is a really cool staff. Nothing else. The gloves are kind of okay, but the staff is cool. Everything else is dog shit.
gear, armor, weapons, whatever, and cause every other person within that zone to start peacocking in an effort to seem cooler. What that person just did has affected you psychologically. Literally,
Okay, so Warframe does that all the time. Go to like a player hub, right? Look at people's like how they like what do you call it? Put on their clothes, like transmog. Fuck is it called? Like, whatever cosmetic they're using for their Warframe. And by the way, Warframe is like one of the best fucking fashion game amongst online games, that still doesn't make Warframe an MMORPG, right? Just because you have a social hub. That means that also, by the way, that also means that PoE 2 now and PoE 1 are also MMOs because they have a social hub where people that bought like the cosmetics from the store are now showing them off, which affects you psychologically. This is like, again, these are like such arbitrary, dumb fucking points that's like, no, that's not how it works. Okay? That doesn't make a game an MMORPG. Like, oh, well, when combine them all together, you can make a case for a lot of games that are not MMORPGs that would affect you exactly the same way as what he's describing here.
Literally, you can just move on. But whatever.
And again, I
happened
am
there
being
in
a
that
smartass, but the point stands that's like either his point is weak or he's not specific enough. Because everything he said so far, I can just say that's like, well, this game does it too. Is that an MMO? This game does these things too. Does that mean it's an MMO?
space in the overworld is the beating heart of the MMORPG. Everything else is fluff. All of the systems that I've talked about on this one space in the overworld. Literally, you can just move on. But whatever happened there in that one space in the overworld is the beating heart of the MMORPG. Everything else is fluff. All of the systems that I've talked about on this channel are great, but they are only great in service of that singular thing, a drive to keep playing motivated by other people. One of the saddest iterations of the MMO today has been how players and developers formed a reliance on each other's lack of influence.
So basically, okay, so that means with one tweak, World of Warcraft retail can become from a non-MMO based on what, you know, these OSRS retards think, and into a MMO again if you just fix the transmog system. That would be it, right? So if I just fix the transmog system, right? For example, I make mythic raids a cosmetic only raid, right? A boss rush raid, let's say, cosmetic only, and it is time gated. That means that if you have that cosmetic, you cannot get that cosmetic at all after the fact, maybe for like the next 2 years. So anyone who has this cosmetic, right, and shows it off, people will be like, oh shit, that looks cool. I need to go get that. So that just made, just because of the cosmetic changes, that just made retail WoW from what these retards would consider not MMO to an MMO. Amazing.
The less another person impacts your moment-to-moment gameplay, the better. And the reasons for that are the same in perpetuity. You or I don't want to spend a hard day at work only to come home and be griefed by a dick ganking people in Stranglethorn Vale. I just want a quest. Yeah. I just want to play my game that I paid for, and 100%. This person is making that fucking impossible.
100%.
And unless you, the developer, remove this, I will complain unless they are punished.
I love how people always refer to this, because this is the thing with classic WoW endies, that they're like, well, you know, like the open world is dangerous and like there's the ganking places and all that stuff. And it's like, that's true for PvP servers, which are less popular than PvE servers. They always have been, they always will be, because some people don't want to get ganked when they don't want a PvP. Okay, some people, and again, that maybe the current classic player base prefers PvP. Like, I don't know. But like, there is a reason that Blizzard had to close the PvP servers. They were not justifying themselves. The player base on PvP servers were not enough to justify having those servers, so they had to remove them. It was not financially feasible to maintain PvP servers, so they removed them, because people, contrary to common belief here with these idiots of like the fucking classic era MMORPG bullshit, so contrary to that belief, people don't actually like to PvP when they don't want to PvP. Okay, if I want to log in and quest, I want to log in and quest, right? If I want to make my way to level 60, I want to make my way to level 60. I don't want to have to rerun to my corpse, especially if I'm in a territory like Hillsbrad, when I am like can be very far away from my fucking graveyard. I don't want to run there and be griefed multiple times by the same fucking rogue. Okay. I don't want to be griefed by the same fucking rogue multiple times and then to run back to my corpse just to maybe eventually level up. That shit just makes you log out. It's like, okay, well, this rogue is not going to let me level. I'm going to go do something else. Okay. That's such a pussy mentality. No, it's just not fucking fun. Okay. And I see these people like, well, let me go get my level 60 fucking mage, right, to counter it. That doesn't solve it. Like, you solve the, like, it's a quick fix for the moment, but what's preventing them from respawning, waiting for you to log back onto your low level, killing you, and then as they see you log out, they just run away, so your mage can't catch them. So stupid, man. Like, and then they play this stupid little game with you of cat and mouse.
I will complain. Unless I can get back to playing my game, I will complain. So what is your...
Most people don't complain. Most people just stop playing. That's the thing. That's what like these retards don't understand. Most people do not bother to go to the forums and complain. The people who go to the forums and complain still actually want to play the game. Vast majority of people don't go to complain. They just fucking quit. Blizzard saw this. They removed private PvP servers. Because people were not having fun. They were just quitting. PvP servers were making people fucking quit the game.
Your game, though. You joined a PvP server, you went to Stranglethorn Vale, you subscribed to a game where PvP exists, and you actively chose to participate in an MMORPG knowing full well that other players exist in your massively multiplayer game. But you're also right, you should be able to pursue your goals ungriefed. I can't just lean back in my chair and say, well, fight back, engage, play, because not only would I also complain, and I have, but because the genre has existed for long enough for all of us to understand that these kinds of frustrating PvP interactions don't always create for successful games.
No, but because they are allowed, you will always, like, this is the thing, you'll always have the one or two players who will do that. Because their enjoyment is your suffering. These people exist, shit. Sometimes it's not even people, sometimes it's just the mood. Today, I'm not feeling good, I just want to make other people feel as shitty as me. And they go and do that. Fuck, I did that. Right? Felt really good about myself for being an asshole. Right? Because you can't be an asshole in real life, but sometimes you want to be an asshole.
After all, there's a reason why every single large-scale PvP-driven MMO doesn't succeed anymore.
Yep.
But if you want to, consider the sponsor of today's video, boot.dev. If programming interests you, if earning 6 figures as a starting salary seems kinda neat,
I was gonna skip the ad, but I was like, I actually appreciate boot.dev, so I'll let it play.
It teaches you to program, but it does so by replacing boring, dry courses with things us nerds love. RPGs. Earn achievements, experience levels, collaborate in community events, do challenges, and be rewarded with a firm path to a brighter future. For your knowledge and for your wallet. They offer courses for all kinds of different programming languages, from Python to TypeScript to SQL. You'll feel right at home learning whatever interests you first. And if that wasn't good enough, you can explore boot.dev for free. Don't commit to a course until you are certain it's the right fit. That, alongside a 30-day, no questions asked money-back guarantee, gives you the reassurance that boot.dev is out for your future, not just for your paycheck. If all of this sounds awesome, use my promo code or QR code found on screen to get started with a great discount on a yearly purchase. Now back to the video. I just tried to outline why exactly MMOs can't be. It's why most popular MMOs have done their best to distance themselves from the roots of the genre, a genre as influenced by the ability to grief other players as it is by the ability to pursue your own goals despite that.
The reason it doesn't work in MMORPGs, basically what he said, this is the reason why games like, for example, V Rising, first of all, unfortunately not very successful. It was successful enough, I believe. Like, it's not like it didn't make money, but it's not the most popular game, right? But games like V Rising are meant for that type of gameplay. Okay, like they are literally designed for the harassing, the PvP while PvE. Like, these games are designed for it. MMORPGs are not designed for PvE PvP content, right? They can have a mode for PvE PvP content, like you have like the PvP only areas and stuff like that. Guild Wars 2 has World v World. What do you call it? RuneScape has like their PvP areas as well. Like, you can have designed areas, and they have to be like, the thing is, how come these areas have to be so rewarding in order for people to play them? Maybe because people don't want to play them, and most people gamble that people don't want to play them so much that they can risk going there for the added rewards and not actually get ganked. Okay, look at war mode in World v World, right? War mode in World v World is the funniest shit, right? Sorry, in war mode in Warcraft, right, was the funniest shit. Unless you had the weekly, right, the only people you would find in open world PvP, like in war mode, were people who were trying to take advantage of the 10% XP buff. And if you PvP them, they just go back to Orgrimmar or Stormwind, they turn it off, and they continue questing. Why? Because they're only there for the added benefits, not for the actual PvP.
Remarked in previous videos on how I think MMOs today have fought back against those older standards by overcorrecting in the opposite direction. Instead of putting a limit to how many times one person can kill another person, they've removed the ability to kill entirely. A baby flushed down the drain of antiquated design with the bat.
Because how do you even make that? Like what he said is, like, instead of limiting how many times a person can kill another person, first of all, that's even less fun than just not having it at all, in my opinion. Like, that just causes even more problems. Second of all, it is a design fucking nightmare, probably, right? And third of all is that it would still not stop the main problem of everybody. Oh, hold up, that's an event. Event is over. It won't stop people from basically stacking one alliance or horde or whatever. One faction, that's the word. It won't stop people from making one faction control that whole world. Right? It won't stop people from making multiple characters that would do the same thing. It's like, oh, I can only kill this guy on this character multiple times. Okay, now it's an account. Okay, cool. Let me get with my friends and we're gonna harass this guy together, right? In turns, right? It's like, this is still, like, none of this helps, okay? You make it harder to harass, but people will still harass, bro. They'll still find a way. You just make it a bit more annoying for people to harass. But you can never stop it. Why? Because people want to fucking harass.
Water. All of this isn't helped by the fact that before, connected server-wide communities helped punish griefers, gankers, cheaters, ninja looters by excommunicating them. It was
and that doesn't work either. You think it, like, I mean, you think you do, but you don't. You think it worked, bro? Like, oh, this guy had a reputation on the forums. Yeah. This is back in the day when people actually used the forums, bro. Right now, the only people using the forums are people who, like, just complain about the game. There's a reason you don't see any positive comments on the forums at all. Okay, there are no positive comments on forums. Why? Because people are just there to complain. Okay, nobody is paying attention to the forums because, again, forums and that social aspect used to matter in the MMORPG genre. That's where you would gather with other players and talk about the game. Nobody gives a shit about it anymore. You're literally hanging out in your Discord server. Soon enough, it will be TeamSpeak with the Discord changes, right? You just hang out with the people that you already know from your guild or whatever, and you just interact with them. Nobody has a notoriety of, like, ninja looting Okay, you just had like recently with what's the streamer name, Bunkai, right? That he ninja looted something. Is he excommunicated? Everybody saw he ninja looted. Is he excommunicated? No, of course not. Everybody wants to play with him, right? Nobody gives a shit, right? Like this is not real anymore. Okay, this whole like little community or whatever, like, no, you're not living in a village anymore. The world fucking grew. Okay, the world is so much bigger than the little village of your mini server that you had before. Okay, you don't have 2,000 people per server anymore, you have 20,000. Perfection, sorry.
A punishment enforced by players, it was emergent. But today, when servers exist
happen.
only insofar as a company wanting your $25 to transfer, that can't happen. No community.
It doesn't matter. Like that's not even the point. That does not matter. Like straight, it just doesn't matter. Okay. The servers were smaller back then. It's like comparing a village of like 50 people to a city like Toronto with 6 million people. Okay. Nobody cares about your reputation when there's 6 million people. Okay. And the people who do are such a tiny amount. Like, for you to go through every single person to know of you, to be so fucking notorious, is literally the whole season. And by then, you just make a new character and you do it all over again. And by the time people realize it's you, it's too late. New season, new character. It's not realistic.
Communities form in the ever-expanding amoeba of cross-server gameplay. What's frustrating about this too is that unlike other genres in today's gaming space, MMO fans have a much stronger connection to their individual game. Memories formed from childhood, and for as obvious as it is that their favorite MMO is a shallow facsimile of what it once was, it's better than nothing. For as much as I...
No, it's just better than ever. Retail now is the better game than it ever was compared to Classic. It's not even close. It's not the direction I wanted to go, so I'm not playing it, but it is by far a much better game in all aspects compared to Classic. Except leveling. But again, leveling, in my opinion, doesn't really matter in a game where the end game exists. If there was leveling would only matter, in my opinion, leveling matters in games where you have like a reset. Like if you played games like MU Online, or you played games like The Forthcoming, where like you get to a certain level, you do a quest, and then you are reborn with like either more stats, or like you have a certain effect, and now you can go to like new zones at the same level. You can go to like higher level zones than you could before, like a level 25 zone at level 15, for example, right? And like farm there, so it's like becomes more interesting and challenging again, but like also you're getting a lot more XP. In games like that, the leveling matters. In games like Classic WoW, leveling doesn't fucking matter. Why? Because the game is still at the end game. Okay? If I could skip leveling in Classic, I would. Why? Because who the fuck wants to level in Classic, bro? It's the most miserable fucking experience. You have to be a fucking masochist. Sorry, yeah, masochist to fucking want to level in Classic. It's literal garbage design, leveling in Classic.
Criticize that group of people and their favorite game, I also empathize. They are still inhabiting the kinds of connections fostered by the genre.
No,
MMOs are driven by commitments that are undercut by player desire. In other words, I wholly oppose the idea that you should be able to look like whatever you want in an MMO. I know that sounds like it came out of left.
I agree with that. Like the cosmetic thing, it does need to change, but like that's like the only valid point he ever made so far.
Field, so let me explain. Looking like whatever you want is often the argument for transmog, cosmetics, the great cosmetic landfill that forms in every game that becomes a collectathon to sustain a need for constant content updates without the effort of designing novel systems. I should look like how I want. Why is that bad? It's not bad, it's game ruining. Aren't we just full of contradictions today? In a roundabout sense, you should never be fully content with how your character looks like in an MMO. That's what pushes you to continue playing. It's a motivator to go for that final set piece to complete a look. It's a visual reward as much as it is a statistical one.
That contradicts itself. Because if you can look however you want, you just have to go and farm the thing that you want to equipped to look how you want, therefore it motivates you to go and get that thing. If if you want to make like your own set, like some pieces from raid, some pieces from mythic plus, some pieces from PvP, which a lot of my sets used to be just like a mixture of stuff. There are the sets where it's just like, this set is just perfect, I'm gonna wear it, but a lot of my sets were like leveling gear plus a raid, two raid items, and like maybe PvP pants or boots. And I was like, damn, this looks sick, right? But it's like, that motivated me to do the PvP, which I don't like. I hate PvP in World of Warcraft, right? But I fucking did it because I wanted the pants. So it's like, by that reasoning, that would also motivate you. So again, logic flawed.
While the statistic rewards may still exist, the visual reward and its associated visual progression has long since died. That argument feels untenable though, because I can say that, and I have, and immediately get dismissed by someone who responds with, why does what I look like prevent you from enjoying your own visual progression?
I don't care
The
about that argument. That argument is also retarded.
answer is simple, and I think we collectively, intrinsically understand it. But it's an uphill climb to reason because it makes you come off as a douchey buzzkill. Because what you wear does affect me. If everyone had a Lamborghini, then no one would want one. Cosmetic overrides are like Lamborghini's engine swapped with Honda Civic 4-cylinders. While the experience of actually driving isn't nearly as exciting because it's a Honda Civic 4-cylinder, in other words, your stats still suck, you still get to retroactively obliterate the prestige of having a Lamborghini regardless. That look is no longer one aspired to by anyone. That's a buzzkill argument, right? It's so reliant on subscribing to artificial scarcity, communal perceptions of wealth, individual enjoyments perverted by external values. It comes off as shallow. Why do I care so much about how I look as to no longer see any value in what is objectively a cool-looking armor set just because it's so readily obtainable via a cash shop or whatever else? Why am I so keen on replicating the socioeconomic disparities that plague our real world today? Aren't games supposed to be escapes from the harshities of the world? Why would you want to play a game where you are as second-class a citizen as you are in real life? Simple, because effort is rewarded, especially in a game where it's fun.
I'm assuming he's just talking about like cosmetics you can buy. There's multiple problems cosmetics you can buy. I mean, that's a whole other fucking subject. So like, I'm just not gonna really go into it, but for the most part, what he says is valid for cosmetics you can buy, second classes and all that stuff. Also, like, it creates problems with like creating cosmetics for the in-game. Like, for example, all the cosmetics in Guild Wars 2 pretty much fucking suck, except like maybe like sure, whatever. Like Decade Armor is probably like the only thing that doesn't completely suck in terms of armor in the game, right? The Decade Armor. All the other sets realistically are kind of like, you might as well just wear an outfit, right? Like, I mean, nothing in the game would make you look like this, right? Like, straight up, like nothing. There's nothing in the game that is as cool as this outfit, for example. Okay. Just like, or like as pixelated, as high defined, cool visuals. Like, there's nothing in the game, right? Well, there is. It's called Twilight and Sunrise and Eternity, right? But like, and Astralaria. But like, those are like very rare and far between. Those are like from core game, which I believe they didn't even have a cosmetic shop, and one is from Heart of Thorns. So yeah, it affects the whole game. I don't think there's any really good looking sets in the game anywhere near compared to what the shop offers. There are some items very rarely that look like really cool, but for the most part the shop is like way superior. So yeah, like that's the main problem with the shop. The whole like second class season, I think, is like a secondary problem.
Shorter and consolidated. It's the same reason there is a not insubstantial number of people who buy every truck driving simulator on the market. What they're doing is living out the fantasy of being a blue-collar worker in rural Arizona. The artifice separating it from reality, though, allows you the unrestricted feeling of being able to step back in a way you wouldn't be able to if your real-life income depended on it. It hones in on the joy of labor with none of the pressures of it. What makes you burn out on a job is feeling stagnant, a lack of agency. Great games, great MMOs give you enough agency to create a joy in labor and a tangible progression in your status. You start out with nothing and eventually become something, an event that doesn't always happen in the real world. But in an MMO, if you are to put in enough time, it's guaranteed. I can only defer to human psychology. There's something in us that recognizes scarcity and sees value in it. Sees value, perception. The irony is that visuals here are often more important signifiers of value than internal mechanisms. I'm not certain of this, but the older I become, the more I'm inclined to think that selling player power on a cash shop is just as malicious, if not slightly less so, than visual excellence. How's that for a hot take? By destroying the visual cohesion of a world through upsetting the balance of player progression, actual visual progression ceases to hold much value as well. You become less connected to the world when your giant floating sword made of star metal and dragon shit is dealing the same damage as my flaccid stick of 1,000 truths. By disconnecting external visual value from internal statistical value, you separate the world you inhabit, with the ones and zeros that make it function. You shatter the believability of the world, whatever there is left of it, and you're left reaping the benefits of looking like whatever you want in a world that functionally has no value anyway. Values are grounded. They aren't individually determined. They are externally identified and individually justified. You cannot separate the truth of value from your own subjective understanding of it. If everyone sees a table right there and you pretend to not see it because you value subjective perception over objective agreeance, then you're seen as delusional and treated as such. In an MMO where we are commingling with gods, i.e. our developers, we do have that separative power. We can make that table disappear, but the end result is still as damaging. By separating the objective from the subjective, we cease to develop tangibility. Things start to lack meaning. You can boil down the core of every boomer's criticism of the modern MMO through that position. Things don't have meaning because they aren't visually cohesive and externally recognized. It's not that you lack time to play, but rather you are more conscious of how much time you're wasting by playing. That's not only because of cosmetics, but it certainly isn't helped by them. I will eventually make an entire video on cosmetics where I will drum up many of these points again, but in a more fleshed out way. But for the purpose of this scattered topic, this is just one facet of many. MMOs don't really ask for your time anymore. These non-existent commitments of today, the seasonality that I've railed about in many of my videos, are part of why so many modern MMOs aren't able to bring in new players. They keep their existing ones because those are already committed individuals, but new players can't develop those pre-existing feelings and connections because, as ironic and sad as it is, many of the players today that play the current iteration of whatever seasonal MMO you want to think of developed their love of that game when it wasn't as seasonal. It's such a truly bizarro version of unintentional gatekeeping. I saw this tweet by a well-established creator in the World of Warcraft space, someone I know has been playing the game for decades now, where they remarked about how players have gotten old, and that's why they don't have the time to commit to an MMO that is asking them to play for longer than a couple minutes a day. I believe it was in relation to having—
No, that's obviously an exaggeration. It's not so much that players don't have the time, it's that, I mean, yes, but it's more like how much can you get for your time rather than don't have the time. Like, for example, do I want to play a game for 3 hours and achieve absolutely nothing because it takes like fucking 10 hours to achieve something? Do I want to play classic WoW where leveling is so fucking slow that in 3 hours I maybe leveled once or twice because just, you know, I'm like old, whatever, like I'm distracted, I'm not playing very well, or whatever fucking reason you want to give, like I'm just not you know, I'm just not min-maxy player. I like, you know, I play extra safe, right? I'm crafting in between, and it's like crafting takes forever. Like, there's like, do you feel like you're advancing in those 3 hours at all? Right? That's where the problem is. And if you don't feel like you're advancing, then why would you play a game that like you feel like you didn't get anything done in 3 hours, right? Where you log in, like imagine this scenario, right? It's like you have 3 hours to play. Obviously, not a few minutes. 3 hours is a good amount of time, right? You just want to go in questing. Now you reach the part of the game where you are, you know, in Strathhelm. Strathhelm? No, not Strathhelm. Stranglethorn. Right, you reach the part of the game when you're in Stranglethorn. And you just want a quest, and then you keep getting ganked by that undead rogue. You're going based off like the animation by Grim, right? And by oh, fuck, I forgot his name. Well, he's also a funny machinima creator. The orc guy. Like, and you just keep getting ganked by this one fucking rogue and the stealth fucking tigers, right? So you have to be like extra careful, which is fine because that's how like Stranglethorn is. It's supposed to be a jungle, it's supposed to be fucking hard and like slow, and like shit can jump on you from anywhere, right? And you're not safe anywhere. Why? Because you're also on a PvP server. So you are somebody who has 3 hours to play, and then you wanna, and you can't even get one quest done in 3 hours, and all you got done out of it is, no, give some honor to some other guy. Now, is that fun gameplay? Now, some people would say, yes, it is. It's a meaningful gameplay. All right, now imagine this happens multiple times, right? Whenever you log in, you just log in at a similar time when you play on rush hour, right? Because the reason people play on rush hour is because that is the most popular time, right? Because their job, life, and all that stuff. So that's usually rush hour. When's rush hour? 6 to 10 p.m. realistically, right? 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. approximately. That's when most people are playing. During when the server restarts, like the daily stuff restart, or during like just like when people get off work, right? There's multiple reasons why rush hour exists. Okay, so you only play during rush hour. What is happening in Stranglethorn Vale during rush hour? Okay, most of the people are there. Now this is obviously like assuming this is like a new season, right? Because that's usually when the players are there, right? During a new season. So you log in, you play, and you achieve absolutely nothing, and then the next day you do it again, then the next day you do it again, the next day you do it again. It's like, bro, why the fuck am I playing this game? Like, I legit can't get anything done. I am stuck in Stranglethorn Vale, right? So, oh, well, just make friends and run around with them. It's like, what? Like, that's such a dumb excuse, right? It's like, will it solve the problem? Maybe, but then maybe they will make friends and come and kill you, and then you're still stuck. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like, anything that hampers you from getting to your goal, and I mean like not like delays you, but actually hampers you from getting like, and by delay I mean like light delay, right? Is just not fun game design, and people, this is like a I quit moment for most people. That is an I quit moment.
Longer dungeons like those that existed in vanilla in
Same with the long dungeons, by the way. Same with the long dungeons. If it takes me, especially like if it's you're playing off season, right, and like there's not a lot of people your level, and it takes you forever to find a group, and then the dungeon itself takes like another hour and a half. Bro, you don't have that much time. It's not like you can log out mid-dungeon, come back, and continue where you left off. No, the dungeon will reset. You don't have the group anymore. Yes, these are all bad designs. Dungeons should be, at max, 15 minutes to 20 minutes, right? Mythic Plus, in my opinion, should aim for 15 to 20. Regular dungeons, honestly, because of how fast people are, 10 to 15, right? And most of them should just be queuable. Right, running to the dungeon serves absolutely no purpose except wasting your fucking time.
2004. I thought that was so funny because
or here's like a middle line. Dungeons should be queuable after you discovered them in the world. Like once you have that checkpoint that like, okay, you have went to that point before, you know where it is, you know how to get there, you have all of the taxi locations, the waypoints, whatever, you don't need to go there again. You can just queue into it.
was an adult back then too. The argument that adults today have less time to play an awesome game is not only not true, but it has never been true. Adults played MMOs in 2004. They were
They value their time more.
the majority demographic. They played them during the housing crisis, they played them during recessions as much as kids did during recess. It's also not true from a gaming landscape. People are playing more games today than they ever have. It's the most popular medium on Earth, which wouldn't matter if games today were, say, shorter, but they aren't. They're longer. Somehow the 100-odd hour Elden Ring sold 30 million copies, but God forbid
But you can make progress whenever you log in. That's the thing. It's not that the game takes 100 hours. It's not that getting to 60 takes 100 hours. It's that when I log in, I want to advance. Right? And I want to feel like I made some meaningful advancement. Elden Ring can be 1,000 hours and it will still be a good game because every step, every boss you kill, everything you discovered feels like you advanced. Not everything, but like most of the things. You feel like you advanced, like you actually got something done, right? Even like fighting a boss and dying 100 times, it feels like you advanced because you actually learned something about the boss. Okay, you don't get that with Classic. What do you learn in 3 hours of fucking auto-attacking gnolls? Like, what do you learn? Like, you just fucking auto-attack gnolls for 3 hours. What the fuck did you learn? Nothing, bro.
Retail WoW have a leveling experience that lasts for longer than 1/50th that time. Really? I'm not convinced. The better argument here is that adults don't have less time to play, but rather there are more games to play, so you just want to spend less time playing any single one.
I also don't agree on this point. I think this is also like a dumb point to make. You play what you want to play. Like, dude, I have multiple games I want to play. I just make a priority list. I want to play Last Epoch. I play Last Epoch at the gym, for example. I want to play Guild Wars 2. I know when are the best times for me to play Guild Wars 2 and what I want to do, right? Like right now, dude, I'm fucking leveling a character back like 1 to 80, from 30 to 80, because I have the level 30 boost, right? I don't need to do that. I can do anything else, right? But it's like, but I need to do that. I want to do that. This is something that I want for my account to have another level 80, so I'm doing it, right? This is not a matter of like having too many options. This is literally just a matter of priorities. I find that I need another level 80 as a priority. I also kind of like leveling to 80 in Guild Wars 2, so I'm doing it. I find it fun, right? Every little thing I'm gonna do, even if I have like, let's say 30 minutes to play, right? I go to my adventure guide and I'm just like, okay, let's knock 1 or 2 of these things out, right? In the 30 minutes I have to play, for example. That's all it is. It's the value for your time. It's not just the amount of time it takes. It's like, are you getting something for your time?
That's fair. I still don't see it as a justification to destroy the core of what makes us connect with an MMO though. Our connection to the worlds of these games aren't dependent on the stories told in them. That should, at this point, be well understood by most people who play video games. You do not need to have a good, interesting, well-written linear campaign to find yourself immersed and enthralled in an incredible world. You just need personal experiences and time.
I would say for most people, you do. You need a like a main campaign that would get you interested in the first place. Most people don't start a game and be instantly interested in the game itself or in the game world. Okay, they need something to draw them in. The reason World of Warcraft was successful is because of Warcraft 3. People were interested in the story. Look at Gab 98, 89, I don't remember. The League player, right? Who just started, he started retail first after he played Warcraft 3, and then he's like, oh, retail was a mistake. So he tried, what do you call it? I don't know why I didn't just do the world boss thing. Oh, there we go. Then he tried classic, right? Why play MMORPG if you can only 15 minutes at a time? Well, no, if you play 15 minutes at a time, then obviously don't play an MMORPG. Like, that's just fucking retarded. Like, logging in is like fucking 15 minutes, right? It's like logging in, remember where you are, what you want to do, is 15 minutes of your time. Obviously, don't play an MMORPG if you have only 15 minutes. That makes no fucking sense, right? Most people have a couple of hours, 3 hours, but if the whole time you're spending is just trying to get something done, but end up getting nothing done, then it's a waste of your fucking time. Why are you playing this game? And that would make you quit, because it's not how much time you spend in the game, is how much time do you feel was valued while playing the game. And in classic WoW, vast majority of your time does not feel valued. If it takes you 10 minutes to go back to town to sell some stuff and craft some shit, and then another 10 minutes to get back to where you were and to fight a few mobs, and because you have a lack of bag space and, like, I don't know, because you're collecting junk and you don't understand the game and you keep going back and forth and nobody explains to you that, like, maybe stop collecting fucking junk and filling up your bags so you don't have to go to town every so often, maybe you would have a better time. Right? Now, I'm not saying this is an actual problem in Classic. I'm just giving an example of a problem. Now, this is not much of a problem, but, like, imagine it was. In Guild Wars 2, a lot of people quit because they didn't have bag space, because they didn't know about salvaging. So a lot of people, when they play Guild Wars 2, when they just start off, they're like, I'm always out of bag space because I always have this shit that I don't know what to do with, right? This is a problem in Guild Wars 2, right? Because people don't know that they can just salvage shit. And they get a salvage kit, but they don't read. Right? There's no pop-up that tells you, it's like, hey, you can salvage equipment. Just an example, right? And then it's like, if you are spending more time running back to a vendor instead of playing the fucking game, you will quit because you feel like your time is being wasted on garbage, on shit you don't want to do. That's practically most of Classic WoW. Running from place to place, fucking for 30 minutes. Right? Auto-attacking is not very enjoyable, and you have to kill like fucking 60 bears to get 3 bear hearts. That's not enjoyable.
Time. That's it.
It's a waste of time.
It came easier as a kid because you did have more time to play and were less conscious of time wasted. You had
Key word right there. Less conscious of time wasted. It's not that you had more time to play, which you probably did. It's that time is just more valuable the older you are. And if you feel like the game is wasting your time more than what you are willing to give it, then you're not gonna play the game. And that's basically why I'm saying Classic and OSRS and all of these old MMORPGs are actually fucking garbage for 2026, where people learn how to respect their time.
less of a perception of time itself, but it's very much still possible as an adult. MMOs have just incorrectly responded to this observation. Instead of promoting further connection, they have defaulted to not providing one altogether. That's why most of them aren't getting many new players, and those that they do get don't develop strict and never-ending bonds with their characters. I think it's worth saying that I'm being general here. I'm not trying to suggest that literally not a single new player has ever started playing retail WoW and enjoyed it in the past few years, just that the amount of new players is relatively paltry.
It's a lot higher than it is for Classic, though. It's a lot higher than it is for OSRS. Considering if what Bellular said, and he counted 9 million players in retail, it is the most successful MMORPG in terms of new players, and returning players, but I doubt there's a lot of them that are returning. Retail WoW is by far more accessible for new players, and again, I'm not playing retail for a reason. I don't think it's a very good game, right? It's not a bad game. It's just not something I'm looking forward to because of the treadmill, right? Because I find that the treadmill wastes my time. But by far, the most successful MMORPG in terms of probably new players is World of Warcraft, right? The only reason OSRS even got new players because the WoW players were bored and they decided to try OSRS. That's why, right? And as soon as they stopped playing it and they went back to WoW because, you know, a new fucking season for Classic, a new retail game, whatever, right? Suddenly, OSRS just dropped like fucking 200,000 players.
Want to know the secret reason why I love and cherish this old school RuneScape character more than I do my multi-decade old human paladin in World of Warcraft?
Because he lost interest in World of Warcraft. I feel more connected to my Mesmer in Guild Wars 2 that I've played a lot less than my Blood Elf Paladin in World of Warcraft. Because I don't play World of Warcraft anymore. I don't find it very interesting. But when I was, the main reason I even quit, funny enough, the main reason I quit World of Warcraft is because my guild asked me to play Demon Hunter for the raid. And once I started playing the Demon Hunter, I realized that the only reason I even play World of Warcraft is because of my connection to my character, right? Like the time invested in my character, I didn't wanna I invested all this time. I don't know, sunk cost fallacy type thing, right? I didn't want to lose that, right? But as soon as my raid asked me that I need to use my Demon Hunter for the raid, guess what happened? I stopped playing my Paladin because I have to gear up my Demon Hunter with all the Mythic pluses, doing all of the alt raids that we're doing on Heroic in order to progress Mythic. And I have to just play my Demon Hunter a lot more and also like get more proficient in. So I had a lot less time to play on my Paladin. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not even enjoying this game because the only thing I enjoyed about this game was my connection to my Paladin. And as soon as I quit the game, after like a few weeks, I was like, I don't care about anything in World of Warcraft, and I don't care about my character anymore because that's it. I let it go, right? And as soon as I got my Mesmer to level 80, even before that, I felt more connected to my Mesmer in Guild Wars 2 than I did to my whole Paladin. Why? Because I'm playing Guild Wars 2. Right? Of course you're more connected to your OSRS character. You're playing OSRS, fucking dummy.
I've spent more time with them. Blizzard hasn't given me a reason to play my human paladin much at all. I have cherished memories on him. I remember the raids I used to do. I remember being forced to heal Hellfire Citadel and being made fun of by the guild leader's wife for not being a good healer. I remember getting my first cutting edge. I remember logging off for the last time. These are old, nostalgic memories. They mean a lot to me, and I would be sad if this character one day up and disappeared, walked into the digital horizon of my favorite zone.
I don't. I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, and I can actually check this, I am fairly certain I got so... because I was getting like, you know, the feel that I want to play again. I am fairly certain. Let me see, I just want to make sure it doesn't ask for authenticate or some shit. If I log into World of Warcraft right now, can't even, can I? I can't. I have to install it. I am fairly certain I don't even have a my Paladin anymore. I'm pretty sure I deleted all of my characters. I'm fairly certain I deleted all of my characters. Except for like maybe one guy to hold the gold, but I'm pretty sure I used up all my gold as well for the tokens, and then I just deleted everything. So like I don't even think I have the character anymore. Cause I like that's the only thing that was like kind of like drawing me back to play.
Stormsong Valley and never return to my character selection screen. But achievements are account-wide. I have them on all my characters. I have those memories in my mind. The character is a token, a reminder, an emblem. He's not a fixture. I can delete him today and forget about him tomorrow. Hell, I can delete him right now and rename my other max level human paladin accordingly, and virtually nothing beyond my personal knowledge of doing that would change. On the other hand, if I lost my RuneScape...
Yeah, because you don't care about WoW anymore, like duh.
Character who doesn't have even half a decade of memories housed in his tiny digital body, not even 2 years actually, I would be heartbroken.
Yeah, well then, how about this? Play a different game, forget about OSRS, right? Like somehow you just don't like OSRS anymore. Play that game, like I don't know, play Guild Wars 2, right? play that for even like a month where you don't play OSRS and you don't want to play OSRS, and then would you care if your character in OSRS got deleted? Not really, or like a lot less than you care now. Why? Because like, who cares? Who cares? You're not gonna play this game anymore. Then who fucking cares? Right? Like, bro, if I quit Guild Wars 2 completely, I do not care if my account gets deleted. Like, it doesn't really matter. If I know I'm not going to play it, or even if I did play it, usually, like, if I take a very long break from something, like if I go to World of Warcraft right now, right, even if I had my max level paladin, I would make a brand new paladin regardless, because that connection is already severed. Same with here. If I was quitting Guild Wars 2 for like a few months, right? No, sorry, a few months, a few years, and I come back, I would probably not play my main, other than the fact that it has like all the exploration and it's a pain in the ass to get it. Like if exploration was shared across characters, for example, right? I would not be playing my Mesmer. I would probably make a brand new Mesmer, because it's just like the connection is severed. I just don't feel like playing that character because it feels like it's not mine, I didn't earn it. Now that is my brain bug. It is what it is, right? That's why I had like fucking 48 paladins on like 20 different servers in World of Warcraft. Only one main, but a bunch of like paladins, right? And they all max level, but then I would go back to my main, because it's like leveling that character up to 80 kind of like connected that journey to my main character journey. I don't know if that makes sense.
Story isn't done. I put thousands upon thousands of hours to getting him geared, to trying to max my skills. I'm not done yet.
God,
There's so much left for me to achieve, and not a single character that I would make after would house those achievements. They are his as much as mine. There are probably millions of identical human paladins to my own, but there's only one RuneScape character like this. One that took the same path as me, who achieved the same goals at the same time with the same time investment. It sounds pedantic, but none of my...
It sounds like you can say the same exact thing about your World of Warcraft characters. This doesn't matter. Like, none of what he just said is more than just subjective reality. Like, literally. Like, this is such a dumb argument. It's like, oh, I like my character because I'm playing it right now, because I had this journey. Well, that is the exact same thing you felt for your World of Warcraft character before you quit the game because you didn't like the game anymore. This is a retarded fucking point.
World of Warcraft characters mean much to me, yet I've played on this account for almost 10 times the length of my RuneScape one. They're a blend of seasonal classes and specializations that I fucked around with for a couple months or even weeks or days before getting bored and moving on.
Yeah, exactly. So if you get bored and move on from RuneScape, the fucking worst game to exist right now, then you would feel the same fucking way about your character. Wow, fucking brain rot, bro.
There's a flood of advertisements curated by Blizzard aiming to appeal to a level of nostalgia in their older player base.
That's all they
is
do.
calling you home or something along those lines, and it shows a player character entering the new housing system and placing down objects, relaxing, unwinding after a long day of...
No, that's not, by the way, that is not nostalgia. Like, that whole aspect, what he just talked about, that has nothing to do with nostalgia. That is for the new player base. That has nothing to do with nostalgia. Nostalgic people, the people who care about Warcraft, like from the get-go, been like fucking in love with this genre, not genre, with this fucking title for the last 30 years, basically. Yeah, like housing is not for them. Like, realistically speaking, that's not who housing is for. It's not marketed for them. Like just look at the cinematic. It's not for them. They want blood and gore, right? They want Warlords of Draenor, proper one, with the content that it should have been.
What exactly? I've criticized WoW's incarnation of player housing as being disconnected from the game itself, a fully instanced collectathon that prioritizes individual expression alienated from multiplayer online features entirely. You can't be griefed in your player-owned house because you are the only one there, unless you invite a friend for some reason. You could be making the digital equivalent of a cosmetic Mona Lisa, and unless you explicitly go out of your way to ask your friends to teleport to you, sit through 2 loading screens, and witness it, it may as well not exist.
I agree.
Your house is lost media. Anyway, these advertisements appeal to nostalgia by working with a double entendre.
Again, none of this appeals to nostalgia. Like, that whole point is already stupid because none of the housing appeals to nostalgia.
Adventure is calling you home because now you can have a home in the game, but also because you may be a lapsed player like me and want to revisit a world that you have at one point loved and considered a type of home. It's also a miscalculated double entendre, one that is born from exceptional marketing slang. It's evocative and provocative, but it means nothing. You aren't coming home because you are, once again, interfacing with a system disconnected entirely from your home, which in this case would be Azeroth, the world of Warcraft. The real home, the world, is also not the one you left all those years ago. It's flitting, it's seasonal, it asks you to create alts when you run out of content, which if you want to play for more than like an hour a day, you will. It's a collectathon. The content, in this case, is collecting cosmetics and their associated recolors and then waiting for your weekly chance of getting an actual piece of gear. Adventure in these ads is framed like a character-specific journey. You see what are supposedly player inserts slaying monsters and getting awesome loot. Like in this ad with this Overwatch character looking blood elf using a golden crown like a stand for her tea kettle. But you won't do that. It's provocative, it gets the people going, but it's meaningless.
Not really.
Houses in
it had more backfiring than it did get the people going type of thing. like most people hated this fucking cinematic, bro. What are you talking about? Most and probably all nostalgic WoW players, as he calls them, hated this cinematic because this is not Warcraft. This is fucking Kitty House Adventures, okay? And again, is there a crowd for it? Sure, but this is not Warcraft crowd, right? And again, I'm not even against this. I think it's fine if you have it. It doesn't interfere with like normal players and shit. But like, I don't consider stuff like housing an expansion content. I consider it a patch content, right? Like that's just me, because like it has nothing to do with the expansion. This is just extra shit in the background. It's like saying transmog is an expansion content. It's not. It's a patch content. Reforging is an expansion content, right? Because you can change your gear in a meaningful way for the actual content of the expansion. This has nothing to do with it.
Are cosmetic by intent. You can't make tea and relax because there's no such thing as relaxing in the scope of the game. There are no systems that would ask your character or you to relax, figuratively or literally. I know that sounds stupid, but I hate these fucking ads because they only mean something to people who want to roleplay making tea in a player.
This is exactly who it's for. It's for role players. Yeah. That's who it's for. The fucking weirdos. Yeah.
Own house that doesn't involve tea. You're not making tea, and you certainly aren't making lonely memories. But let's say you are making tea. Wow, your character is so tired and British, I guess. What did the adventure that made them that way involve? The overworld is dead. There's nothing to relax from because the game itself, other than its top-end rating and Mythic Plus systems, doesn't ask for any level of effort or time from its players. What are you?
Neither does Classic.
Taking a vacation from your vacation? It doesn't even fit thematically. And yet, all of these criticisms are equally meaningless. People like the housing system a lot.
Yeah.
Sure, there are the odd buzzkills like me who point out just how hollow, empty, and antithetical to a multiplayer RPG the entire thing is to ourselves, but this is
it's for role players. It doesn't matter. This is the RP part of the MMORPG. Like a housing system is RP. Does the housing matter in Final Fantasy 14? No. Does it matter in WoW? No. Does it matter in ESO? No. Does it matter in Guild Wars? No. Actually, in Guild Wars, at least you can make like racetracks and shit. You can actually make like really like a house with a point, right? I don't know if you can do that in WoW right now, if there is any point in doing it, but like you have some houses in Guild Wars that are like fucking like racetracks, right? So like, and you can host like your own stuff. You can make it like into like a social thing, right? But you know, for the most part, I would say for 99% of players, like that is not the case. It's just a system in the game for role playing. It doesn't mean anything. Is it better to not have it than to have it? No, I think it's better to have it. I don't think it's that important for the game though.
What the existing players want. The people who had enough time to connect to the game back when it still demanded time are now able to integrate their pre-existing connection through further systems like the player-owned house. But new players, by and large, won't. They can't. Better yet, how is it that we're too old to spend 2 hours sweating through a dungeon with a group of players, forging bonds through blood and clash?
We're not too old for spending 2 hours to do the raid. We value our time too much to spend 2 hours getting ready for the raid, logging in at a specific time to meet with the people like it's a second fucking job. To do a raid, we've done hundreds of times to get practically maybe one item out of 14 bosses. Okay? That doesn't feel like a meaningful enough spending of time. Like it feels more of a time waste, and most of the times you won't even get an item that you want. Okay, if you're coming for Ragnaros, right, for the raid, and you want Wind Fury, yeah, Blessed Blade of the Thunder Fury. You want Thunder Fury, right? But you're like the third on the list or fourth of the list of your raid get of your raid group, of your guild, whatever you're doing with, and you're fourth on the list to get it, and you don't need anything else. I'm sorry, that would not feel good. That would feel like a fucking waste of your fucking time doing it until it's your turn. You'd rather just skip those days and come back when it is your time. But then it's not fair, right? Because it's like, well, why are these people supposed to help you get yours when you didn't help them get theirs? So now you feel like more like you have to do it for the sake of getting your thing eventually, maybe in in a few weeks, hopefully, right? If it consistently drops. So yeah, it's a fucking waste of your time, right? Like that's all it is. It's a job and it's a waste of your time.
Steel, but what we do have time for is utterly meaningless self-expression in a padded room. That's bad faith. What I just did there is bad faith. Let me try again. There is nothing more systemically shallow than defaulting to a mindless collectathon. The integration of collectathon mechanics requires no thought. The engineers who made the WoW housing system function on such an old engine are wizards. The artists who brought all of these items to life are incredibly talented, yet the systems designers, or at least the directors who manage their integration, are about as creative as a DeviantArt Sonic OC. A collectathon in an MMO is so easy to integrate because it doesn't require integration. Systems like cross-pollinated skills that feed into one another in interesting ways, items that may upset the economy or sustain it, new bosses that create alternate routes to gearing all require a level of consideration from the designer. How do we implement a feature like this without upsetting the carefully made balance of our game?
What? Bro, horizontal progression has the least amount of variables to consider when it comes to new gear. What are you talking about? It's a sum of stats. Having, let's say, well, I'm not on my legendary guy, so like I can't really show it, but like you have, let's say, Berserker, right? You have a total of, let's say, 500 stats. You want to split into 3 stats, right? You have power, you have ferocity, and precision. And you want to make this a balanced power. So you want to make it like high power and balanced precision ferocity. Okay, that's Berserker. Okay, now you want Assassin. Assassin will have less power, more precision, but the power will equal ferocity, right? And literally, it's the same fucking values that Berserker has, except that the power and the precision switch values. Now you have two fucking sets, right? Celestial, divide the 500 stats into 8 different, I think it's 8, don't want to count them right now, into 8 different stats, all of the same amount, right? And each item would have different amount. Like this would have, let's say, 300, this would have 200, this is 500, 200, 500, 200, let's say, right? Like I don't remember which ones are, things like helm, chest, and legs are the same stats or something, and then shoulders, gloves, and boots are the same. So it's like 500, 500, 500, and then 300, 300, 300, right? And then you just divide them. Oh, fucking wizardry, bro! And you can make, like, how many sets do we have? 25 different stat sets, right? Oh, it's so hard to make horizontal progression fucking gear and not making it overpowered. Fucking dude, this is like OSRS brainrot, bro. It is way easier to not break the game designing for something like OSRS or like a horizontal progression than it is for something that will constantly change and constantly go up in value as the seasons go. It is a lot harder to implement something without breaking the fucking game on a vertical. And also, this guy's talking about fucking PvE content, whereas like a collection cosmetic thing is completely different. You're integrating something, which, by the way, would have to, you already unlock a lot of your stuff that you have done before on your character, right? So if there's some stuff that are unlocked behind achievements, you would have to integrate the new additions into old achievements that people already had, and they would have to already get it in their collection, right? That is a lot harder to integrate than a fucking new system or a new items that don't break the game in a fucking horizontal game. Fuck, man. I swear, like, this guy sounds like he speaks very well, but goddamn, the brain damage from OSRS is basically my assumption. That's why he has brain damage.
How do these new features augment the game? If they do they make it better? A cosmetic collectathon, though, it doesn't matter. It changes nothing from a systemic angle. You are doing the exact same thing you always were, but now a piece of UI pops up to tell you you've earned a housing item. It's wonderful for monetization. It adds a kind of reward for doing random nonsense, but there goes that cosmetic landfill growing 4 sizes overnight. Man, isn't it just so easy to design reward space when the rewards are intentionally intangible, housed in an instance of an instance of an instance? I've spent a large portion of this video ranting about cosmetics, and I haven't even released my video on cosmetics yet. When I say that people hate MMOs, what I mean is we all have a troubled relationship with the genre. Anything requires time to breed investment and connection, the MMO most of all. Yet there's this odd situation happening where MMOs have become too accessible, too smooth and frictionless, that connecting to them as a new player is just about impossible. Tell me if I'm the only one who has ever experienced this.
I find it way easier to connect to a retail WoW character than to an OSRS. Why? Because I don't like OSRS. And, well, I mean, I don't like retail WoW right now either, but I probably would like it way more than I like OSRS. So for me, it would be a lot easier to connect to an OSRS, to a WoW character than to an OSRS character. It's such a subjective fucking thing. There's no objective way to connect to a character in the game. Like, there is none. Like, you have to just like the game first of all. You have to like the world, right? Like, you don't even get connected to your character until you actually like the game and then the world, right? Like, you just don't, right? Your character doesn't matter because it's just a tool to get you through the world. So, like, this whole point is already just, it's retarded on its face. I like my OSRS character more, therefore I like it more. Like, yeah, no shit, because you're playing OSRS right now, fucking idiot.
Finally try out that MMO everyone has been talking about for years. You buy it or download it, create your character, load into the world, and at every turn, it's like the game simply bores you. It either gives you
Yeah,
too much
OSRS.
information, too much help, or not enough about random bullshit. It's both treating you like a toddler and a veteran simultaneously. It's a blend of outdated systems and patchwork together new onboarding features, like a band-aid over a broken limb. Nothing feels like anything because you aren't given the time to understand what you should be feeling. Games like FF14 at least place you on a multi-hundred-hour main storyline defined by countless fetch quests, but if you really aren't engaged with the dialogue, it's like being read a bedtime story by the world's slowest reader. Meanwhile,
Like, I agree. That's again why people say that FF14 is an RPG MMO, not an MMORPG, right? As somebody who basically played Final Fantasy 14 because of the story, right? I just love the story. Now, granted, it took me a very long time to like the story, and I had to like power through core, and I even had to power through Heaven's Ward. I don't know what people are so amazed by Heaven's Ward. I didn't really like Heaven's Ward. And I did like Stormblood a lot more. Obviously, Shadowbringers and Endwalker was just phenomenal, right? And like the whole philosophy behind. But like again, I had to. The reason that they were phenomenal is because of the not so phenomenal Heaven's Ward and Core, right? And again, hot take. I know people love Heaven's Ward. Personally, not a fan, right? Didn't like any of the characters there. Alphino was a pain in the ass, fucking spoiled brat. What's his name? Oh my god, what was his name? Jesus Christ, the Spear Knight, the Dragoon. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyways, I didn't like him in theirs. Like he's just trying to be too emotionless, right? And the other one, honestly, the only one I actually did like to an extent was the girl. It's been a while. I don't remember. I suck with names already. The girl is the one I actually kind of like, and even that, like, not too much, right? Like, at least she had like some kind of like a tragic story and like some kind of like, well, they both have a tragic story, but like she had like kind of like relatable, understandable victimhood about her, right? It's like there was a reason that she was doing what she's doing, even though she was mistaken, sure, but like you could understand her reasoning from her point of view, whereas like everyone else I just kind of like didn't really care about. So for me, Heaven's Word, not the greatest. Yeah, can't think of any character there that I like actually cared about. So, but yeah, it's an RPG MMO. It has absolutely no RPG MMO aspects up until that point, and yeah, it is just telling you a story. But like, without the story, realistically, MMORPGs just don't really have much going for them, right? It's like the story is kind of like what carries you into the game. Like, it doesn't have to be like the whole lore that carries you into the game, but like not being interested in the world will just not make you want to keep playing and not make you feel connected to it. So, yeah.
while Guild Wars 2 has a wonderful leveling experience and a
No, it
harsh
doesn't.
stop at max level, wherein your sense of progression is halted in favor of, wouldn't you know it, a collectathon. World of Warcraft may as well not even have a leveling experience, considering it takes a couple
True.
hours to quote-unquote catch up and spend the next 6
Yep.
months standing around the major city looking for party members for a raid or dungeon.
Yep,
Or
I
even
agree.
better, running brain-dead overworld or old instanced content for, wouldn't you know it,
Collectathon.
random cosmetics.
Yep.
When do I get to start feeling something toward this game? What part of it should I feel something toward anyway? Is it the leveling? Clearly not. Is it the end game? The gameplay may be fun, but considering everything resets every half year, it's not like my character experiences any level of long-term RPG growth. Their UI collections grow, I get more mount recolors, but all I'm really doing is ping-ponging between power levels. I don't even get to see a visual growth anymore. These games might conceptually be easier to get into, but it feels impossible to get connected to them. In prior videos, I blamed that on friction, and yes, that's true. When you have too little friction, that's because the game ceases to demand anything from you, and when you aren't demanded anything, you zone out. I'm unsure why some MMO fans even disagree with.
No offense. All of OSRS is zoning out. Like, literally, the existence of OSRS is free to zone out, and Classic WoW, for that matter. These are games you literally play on a mini screen on an off monitor. Logging in and literally auto-attacking your way to progression, right? Like the whole, like, or the agility system. Oh my god, the agility system in OSR is fucking retarded. Walk on the roof for multiple hours, back and forth, doing the same exact thing. But because it took you forever, that means it's immersive gameplay and now you care about it? Dude, no, that's fucking retardation. That's like brain rot. This is like literally like fucking causes dementia. Right? Like doing the same thing over and over, bro. Like you actually insane if you think that OSRS offers any fucking meaningful character progression for your character. That's actually like, again, can't take OSRS players seriously, man. Like actual brain rot.
This, considering every other piece of art on Earth is held to this standard. But I suppose MMOs exist outside of this standard too? It's not like they're made to be fun, they're made to be rewarding. That's why grinding ends up feeling good, eventually, if it's done and integrated well. A few of the best YouTubers in this space have pointed this out far before I have. MMOs aren't good games, not in the traditional sense, not in the way Last of Us is well written, not in the way Sekiro.
Oh yes, Last of Us. Because that's a game where you don't just watch a movie.
Is tightly designed. They don't have great moment-to-moment gameplay, and their progression loops atomize around length instead of quality. And that's true if quality means compartmentalized excitement. If games are there to funnel you between intrigue and action, then MMOs often fail. The best ones do offer those things, but at vastly different increments. The intrigue in a good MMO comes while you're in the shower or laying in bed. The action comes after you spent the past hour running through a zone searching for something to act upon. When they try to dilute those elements or outright remove them to focus in on action in the same way Sekiro does, what you're left with is distinctly not an MMO, just a mediocre action game. That's why I call Retail WoW a bad ARPG. The gameplay is solid, the class design was next to none before it was gutted with the Midnight expansion, yet the itemization is as boring and dry as any other.
Yeah, this is true for pretty much all of them. Like, I get these people who think that it's like, oh man, like you're going to a lava place, you need like fire resistance cloak. Like, I understand that argument, but you don't really feel it. Right, this is the same as like agony in fractals. Actually, it is the exact same thing as agony in fractals. Right, once you have it, like you don't really care about it. It's like it's just something you need to have to access to do this zone. Right, it's like I need fractal resistance, agony resistance to do higher level fractals. Right, but it doesn't like. I never felt that. Like I was like, oh yeah, finally I have this agony resistance. Oh man, let's fucking go, right? It's like I never felt that. Never felt, oh yeah, I had the fire resistance scape. Oh, I have this scape for like the fucking mind control from Deathwing or whatever. Like not Deathwing, but like his son, right? Nefarious. I don't fucking remember his name. Like none of this actually feels like it matters. Like realistically, it feels just like another thing that makes you do something you don't care about to do the thing you actually want to do, right? If I want to do a raid and I don't want to do the other bullshit, Don't make me do the other bullshit in order to do the stuff I want to do. That doesn't make the stuff I want to do more meaningful. That makes it more annoying and less chances that I will get to do what I want to do and more chance of me not playing the fucking game.
The way you play is identical to any ARPG. You're filtered between AoEing packs of mindless enemies and focusing on a single boss with a curated selection of mechanics, only to be bombarded with samey loot for your efforts. It's
Yes, OSRS is a lot different to this. You get to shoot a spell that looks like fucking doo-doo at the enemy, one at a time, and then you also get to fight a boss on his own. None of this contradicts how bad OSRS is. It's the same garbage. Except that WoW gameplay, at least, is fun to fucking click buttons.
original nature as an MMO acts as opposition to this, and something Blizzard tries to hide. You can see this in their choice to make other people impact your gameplay as minimally as humanly possible,
Yes,
while staying true to the
because
group
it's friction.
content they've built around the game. It's really weird. MMOs aren't good in the same way other games might be. They're good in output. When they follow the actual long-form engagement archetypes that I think are mandatory, are good, like going to the gym is good, albeit in a far less healthy way. The process of being at the gym is tedious, laborious, annoying, frustrating, painful, and sometimes really, really boring, especially while you're doing cardio. Yet, after you take your shirt off at the beach and half a dozen people ogle your body, it kind of feels worth it.
No, that's not why it feels worth it. It feels worth it because when you wake up in the morning, your knees don't fucking hurt and your back is not fucking killing you. That's why it feels worth it. Because it's easier to fit into uncomfortable fucking chairs. Okay? Because it's easier to go up the fucking stairs at work. Because when you walk around, you don't start fucking sweating like a fucking pig trying to just go from point A to point B. That's why the gym feels rewarding. Okay? And if you just go to the gym and you do a half-ass job, right, you're not even gonna see the results. So, like, this whole argument comparing it to the gym is just fucking retarded. Okay? Time spent at the gym, proper time spent at the gym, is very different to proper time spent in an MMO. Proper time spent in MMO will get you to the best gear in the fucking game as soon as fucking possible. That's the same fucking argument. Spending infinite amount of times hitting a fucking crab in OSRS or some shit, okay, is not the same as it's the same as going to the gym for a 2-hour walk. Might as well walk outside, like, if the weather allows it, right? It's the same shit. Like, you don't even need the gym. Like, what are these arguments, bro?
Feels good knowing that you've not only become healthier, but all those people around you have recognized your hard work. Suddenly, the long days and nights on a strict diet, on a strict schedule, forcing yourself into a sweaty, dingy place has paid off in a wonderful way. The best grinds are like that. Them being
They're totally not like that, bro. This is like, so this is, again, his whole argument, by the way, is still on the cosmetics, right? Which I agree, the cosmetics, the way they're done in World of Warcraft retail are bad, and they should fix how transmogs work with time-limited cosmetics, the best cosmetics in the game, like really, really good. Best variation of like the current raid armor should be behind like a timer, right? Like you have to actually achieve it, and in the season that it was achievable in, similar to Mage Tower weapons, they are cool because you can't get them anymore. Shit like that, right? And it kind of sucks that they made them real, like the Mage Tower didn't scale with item level, because me who worked hard to get my Shattered Ashbringer skin at 890 item level, was people were getting it so easily at 930. And by the way, I was getting like the other weapons for the other classes at like when 930 became the item level, like like that, right? It's like, but they lost meaning, and I don't really care about them. I just got them for transmog. Whereas like the Shatter Ashbringer, I got it because I really wanted it, and it looks fucking cool, right? It's more than just a cosmetic for me. I got it because I wanted it for this character, because the Ashbringer meant a lot to me as a paladin main, right? And like the fact that you didn't scale it, the mage tower, when the item level increased was kind of fucking stupid. Okay, so again, in terms of cosmetics, I agree with him, but that whole argument, like his whole argument here so far has been just the cosmetic stuff. Like it's his only legit argument. So if retail fixes the cosmetic stuff, retail becomes an MMORPG apparently.
Restrictive tests of patience creates exclusivity, and exclusivity creates value, and value creates recognized achievement, and recognized achievement creates external motivation. I really think most people implicitly understand this because most people are against pay to win in their favorite games. Pay to win creates an environment where your achievement ceases to be recognized and exclusive because it's undercut by various modifiers. You can't create external motivation when external motivators don't feel fair, or in some cases, don't exist. The people around you have an influence over you, whether you want to admit it or not. That is the case in our world. You can't exist in it without those around you influencing how you act and how you think. You can't live in a purely subjective bubble of self-reflection. It disconnects you from reality and honestly is selfish. It breeds solipsism. It disengages from the universe. It's categorically unempathetic.
Bro, I swear, if this game allowed WASD, this game becomes one of the easiest fucking games in all of human history. The difficulty of this game is mouse control. Like, the annoyance of it is the difficulty.
Subjective values, personal growth, can be started internally. They are only concluded externally, through aligning how you perceive yourself with how others perceive you. All of this is to say, if you want to play an MMO uninfluenced by any other player, then you may as well not want to play an MMO.
Yeah, just play OSRS. Look at this. This whole thing. Right? He's playing solo. Right? He's playing fucking...
They are only concluded externally, through aligning how you perceive yourself with how others perceive you. All of this is to say, if you want to play an MMO uninfluenced by any other player, then you may as well not want to play an MMO.
By the way, if I log into OSRS and I see somebody with like cool armor, I would not even know it's cool armor because it's OSRS and everything looks like fucking dog shit. Right? Same with like a game. How is Minecraft the most played game, in which you can consider technically an MMORPG? It's not really, but you can consider it. Right? How is Minecraft the most popular game? Do you think people are playing it for the cosmetics of other people? No. Yeah, it is an external motivator, but that's not what MMOs are really about. It is something that is cool, but it's not what defines an MMO. And his whole argument, the only consistent one that was kind of correct, was the cosmetics.
It's difficult, isn't it? To hold on to a game like a childhood plushie marred by the scars of decades and decades past, its ears severed and reattached, its body dulled with grime and age. But why is that plushie worth anything? Why is it that its value is those scars? It's like Illidan. The connections we develop with this genre are so intense due to the things people now perceive as its major flaws. Time investment, grind.
No. It's just the time you invested in the character. Not the major flaws. It's literally just the time investment.
Complexity and depth. I think it's honestly self-righteous to want those things to disappear because you have already connected to the game through them. You may not want to retain features that you now deem as unacceptable when their qualities have already been passed on to you. I think that the reason MMOs aren't growing anymore, despite the medium quintupling in size in just the past decade, is because we've lost those features. When these games are only curated and influenced by people who already love and play them, we start losing their most intrinsic merits. We start considering positive values as negative ones because they only exist as positive to people we no longer are. We hate MMOs, but we also love them because what we love are bonds formed through a type of hatred. And we hate because that tumultuous love has broken apart the genre entirely. It's a living, breathing contradiction. If MMOs are just a collection of long-term goals filtered through simple communal gameplay in a persistent overworld, then why are we so gung-ho on perverting that? You may be a father of 70 children, and that prevents you from the kinds of long-term goals you could achieve in the past, but instead of understanding that, accepting that, or maybe developing other goals entirely, you have opted to promote a removal of long term itself. And if long term is why we connected in the first place, then we probably shouldn't be surprised that our most beloved, persistent world is a collage of all the same faces.
So right now, the only reason people play MMOs, well, not the only reason, but a major reason, is because they want a forever game. That's basically what MMOs are supposed to represent. They're a forever otherworld game. Okay? It's not about the fucking cosmetics, not about the fucking, character progression, all that stuff. Like, those are features, and if the features are right, you want to play the game more, right? But the whole point of why people even love MMOs to begin with is because they want a forever game. They don't want a game you just play and quit at a whim. Okay, they don't want a seasonal game, which is basically what Warcraft has become. Okay, they want a game that that will let them play this game all the time without them having to play other games. The problem is we do not have the technological capabilities yet, hopefully with AI we might, to develop at the rate that people consume. That's why when you play an MMO, you have so much time to complain and play other games and try other games. But we don't want that. I want to play Guild Wars 2 all the time, except I run out of things to do. I can only run certain metas and meta trains for so long, right? I can't play retail because I understand that the treadmill makes my time fucking wasted. Okay. And there's no actual sense of progression because you keep progressing to fucking infinity and you can never beat the game, or like it's such a weird fucking thing because on one hand you want to beat the game, but on the other hand you don't want the game to end. How do you make that happen, right? Good luck, good fucking luck. That's all I can say, right? The whole cosmetic thing stuff, these are external motivators. They are not what determines what an MMO is, okay? Otherwise, Warframe is an MMO. Path of Exile is an MMO. Diablo 4 is an MMO, right? Any game that has cosmetics is an MMORPG for some reason, right? People who play COD and buy the cosmetics is an MMO, apparently, right? Like, no, that's not how it works. Okay, the cosmetics are not, they're just like, it's an external motivator, right? I understand the whole, like in classic WoW, the first time you saw somebody with a warlord or whatever it's called armor set, you're like, holy shit, that looks cool, let me go get it. Yes, we are past that point. Okay, Barbie dollhouse, not as impressive anymore. Okay, it's just not a thing anymore. Nobody is like looking at somebody like right now. I inspected that guy and I thought to myself, oh man, I really want to go and get that thing. No, I was just like, oh, that's a cool option for me to have for my character. Like, that's all it is, right? When I see somebody with a warlord armor or whatever in fucking classic, honestly, I don't even care. Like, it doesn't matter. See somebody with like, I don't even know what like are cool armors in fucking classic, right? If I see somebody in judgment gear, right, was tier 2 paladin gear, I won't be like, oh my god, that is so cool. No, why? Because it doesn't matter anymore. I know how to get it, and I think that's the biggest thing. Knowing how to get something, knowing that it is achievable, especially like how achievable it is, already killed that whole motivation of getting it. It's just not as interesting anymore to get, right? The reason it was cool during Classic is because you didn't know what was possible. You didn't have Wowhead to tell you that it's like, oh, by the way, if you get to rank 14 in PvP, you can get this armor set. You didn't know that. You needed somebody who discovered it to show you that, okay? You didn't know that this cool helmet existed from wherever. You had to go and find it, right? You didn't know the judgment set existed. You had to go and like you have to explore. The problem is exploration is dead in these games, right? There is no sense of exploration in any of the current MMORPGs unless you somehow manage to play them completely blind and your curiosity is not stronger than your need to find out where it is, and you actually go into a game willing to explore, which is by far pretty much no one. Okay, like 99% of people will not. They will look up a guide how to play something. Okay, they will look up information. The only ones who don't do it are like streamers who say that they're going in blind, and even they get spoiled in their comments. Okay, like I don't want to get spoiled. Meanwhile, they get spoiled in the comments, right? And people send them gold and gifts and shit like that, right? Anyway, this whole argument, in my opinion, MMOs have not changed as much as people have changed. Value of time went up compared to how slow the games are. That's why the games had to change with the people. Do you really think that retail WoW is a worse game when they're pretty much everything they're doing has shown, not everything because they had like their highs and lows, like they did make mistakes, but they're willing to experiment enough to see where the crowd is and where it's willing to go? Okay, MMOs don't change based on nothing. They change based on what the player base wants, right? What the player base kind of demands. Now, sometimes when they create the content that the player base says they want, it doesn't hit the same because there's a misunderstanding of like what the player base is asking for and what the developers are delivering or how they're delivering it. For example, people loved Legion legendaries, but they loved them at 7.1 more than they did at 7.0 because the legendaries were really cool and really fun. Getting them sucked. Okay, this is where the miscommunication happened, right? Farming to get the max legendaries to like level them up seems like a cool idea. People are like, yeah, we want more end game progression. Doing it was kind of stupid, right? Because how do you do it? Well, you farm fucking Maw of Souls for, 20 hours a day, right? So again, what people want and how to get there are very different things. Blizzard fucks up on the how to get there, but they are developing the game based on what people are asking for, right? And right now, the game is by far the most what the crowd is showing to want. Okay, now I'm not a fan of housing, but people want housing. A good chunk of player base wanted housing. Okay, I'm not a fan of the stupid treadmill. I'm not a fan of the insane amount of item level gaps. But apparently, that's what the fucking player base wants. Now, I don't think they're correct, but that's my opinion. Okay, I think there should be a progression, but I think the previous season should matter to an extent for the current season, right? So even though you can still progress in the current season further away from the last season, there might be items in the last season that are still incredible for you in the current season. But because Blizzard jumps by 30 plus item levels every season, that basically negates the previous season, and you end up with only doing one raid. Now, on one hand, I can understand it because you don't want to spread your player base so thin that people can't find a group to do the content that is the most current or the content that has your best in slot, but nobody is really willing to do it, right? So they want to focus everyone on the current content. And that's probably because of player behavior, not because they want the previous tier not to mean anything. Okay, I'm fairly certain they don't want to create stuff that they have to ignore the next patch. Okay, because like imagine this from somebody who creates things perspective. It's like digging a hole and then filling it up again, and that is your job. Which, by the way, there's a study about it, digging holes and filling it up, and most people quit even though the pay was extremely well. Why? Because people hate doing meaningless shit. Which bring us back to old school MMORPGs. You are doing meaningless shit the whole fucking time. Everything is fucking meaningless in an old MMORPG. Okay? In retail, everything's meaningless in an old school MMORPG compared to the time you invest into it. Whereas retail, everything is not meaningless, but you kind of get everything very fast if you have the skill set. Right? There's no real like there is some effort. In my opinion, it is better to have what retail has in order for achieving gear, but there's also like sometimes you feel like unrewarded for the amount of effort you put, but it's still you're progressing way faster, right? What are the things that made people quit retail? Farming Mythic Plus and not getting rewards. So now, no matter even if you don't get a drop, you're getting rewards from Mythic Plus, right? You're getting your tokens thingies, whatever they're called, right? That didn't happen. You didn't have those before. You only had the gear. Now imagine running 5 Mythic Pluses in a row and not getting a drop. Well, that would make the drop way more meaningless when it does. No, it just makes it fucking tedious, okay? Running 100 times the same dungeon to get the fucking trinket is not fucking fun, okay? Jesus Christ. But, hey man, but classic players will tell you otherwise.